I was born in Jersey in the Channel Islands. And if you think about where you can be born in the world, I think I won the lottery. This place is steeped in history, from forts to castles, from dolmens to German bunkers, can you believe? The Channel Islands were the only British soil to be occupied during the Second World War. We have amazing beaches. It is really a glorious place to live. So, why did I leave? Well, back in the day, things were looking pretty good. Andrew's business was flying. I was working my way up in the corporate world, had a very good job, flying business class, eating at Michelin-star restaurants, all the clothes, you name it, we had it. But, do you know, it was actually really just covering over the cracks. Just covering over the cracks of an unfulfilled life. From the outside, we had, or it looked like we had everything. And a lot of people would have loved our lifestyle. But in reality, we were not happy. We were not fulfilled. We were not living the life of our dreams. And so, on a holiday in Valencia, Andrew and I sat down and had a chat and said, what if we lived a life we didn't need a holiday from? What if we didn't have to go back to Jersey? Now there's a question. And we sat down and talked about it and thought, yeah, let's make a plan. Let's put this into action. Let's start living our second chapter full of fun, energy, and as I said, living a life we don't need a holiday from. So as we flew out of Spain, a few days later, the whole of Spain went into lockdown due to COVID. Jersey followed shortly after. And do you know what? All the goodwill in the world to make plans to live the best life in our second chapter just flew out the window because life got in the way. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. Life just does get in the way. Stuff happens. And so the plans just got forgotten. You know, we were dealing with COVID. Oh my God, what was all that about? And when you think about it now, it's just, I don't know, it's almost like a dream that we lived through those terrible times, wearing masks and, you know, having curfews and all of that stuff. It's just like, did that really happen? Anyway, so there we were living our life, wonderful life from the outside. And I think that the stresses and strains of daily life became a little bit harder in COVID, and I'd been suffering with my health anyway. And things sort of came to a bit of a head by the summer. And I had to go to the doctor for a checkup. I had blood pressure, high blood pressure anyway, I was on medication for that. And, you know, the job, in reality, I was stressed to the max, living in a haze of stress, anxiety and overwhelm. And in this checkup with the doctor, he said to me, if you carry on the way you're going, you're going to have a heart attack or a stroke. Well, boy, was that a wake-up call. Andrew and I are second-time rounders, and we're sort of on the mind that it's both taken us all our lives to find each other, and he said, and now I'm going to lose you because of your job. And that really brought it home, you know, that life is short. You never know what's around the corner. And that made us decide to sit down and really think about this life that we wanted to lead, that we didn't need a holiday from. Now, those of you who know me, when I was younger, I was bold, nothing was a problem. I could do anything, I was invincible. But as I've got older, things have changed, and I'm now quite a scaredy cat, really. Whereas Andrew is the complete opposite. He is, let's just do it type of guy. So if we were going to go make this happen, he knew he'd have to help me along the way, because there could be, and I would find, a million reasons why not to change my life. So what we did is we made a 90-day plan, 90 steps to living the life that we didn't need a holiday from. And so we put a calendar up on our wall, large post-it notes split into 90 days. My first thing to tick off on the list was to hand in my notice. That was one of the scariest things. There were two really scary things, lots of scary things. But handing in my notice was a big thing. My job over 13 years, my dream job over 13 years, had actually become my worst nightmare. But even so, with all the stress and the anxiety it caused me, to actually give in my notice was huge. You know, that salary would be gone. I don't know, it was a really big and tough thing for me to do. So Andrew helped me write my notice. And even though we were mostly working from home because of COVID, I met my boss in the office, who is actually a great friend. He was a tad shocked, but he certainly understood, and he was very, very supportive, and I appreciate that from him. And so I had to work 3 months' notice. And actually, once I'd handed in my notice, that also took the pressure off. Not that I didn't continue to do my job professionally, I absolutely did, but just the fact that I'd handed in my notice really did make a difference. The second biggest thing for me was telling my family I was leaving Jersey. I only have one sister, and she has family here, and my mother, who's quite elderly. And I had to meet them outside my mother's house because of my mother's age. We couldn't be in the house with her because of COVID and all that horrible times. So to tell them that I was leaving was, challenging to say the least. But to be honest, they were absolutely fabulous. When they found out the reasons why and that my health was suffering, they were so understanding and supportive. They didn't want me to go, but they certainly respected my wishes and supported me all the way. Then other than that, you know, this calendar was my lifeline. So by putting the various things that we needed to put in place to actually start a new life, actually having them on a calendar was really quite rewarding, if that's the word. And also, if something didn't happen on one day for one reason or another, because shit happens, right? I just moved it to another day. But being able to tick off each day was like a step closer to our goal. Until the actual day arrived, we had sold up everything we didn't need. We put our furniture into storage. We packed up the car with 6 suitcases, 2 paddleboards, and a couple of bottles of champagne. And we got on the ferry to France to head to southern Spain. Now, the journey to southern Spain was nothing like we had planned because, again, COVID got in the way. And as we were travelling down towards southern Spain, each day we had to check where we could actually go, not where we'd book. Everything had to be cancelled because towns were shutting down all along our route. So that was quite a challenge. And when we got to the place that we were going to call our home for the time being, Soto Grande, when we arrived, we had 1 month's Airbnb booked. That was it. So we didn't have everything worked out, but we had that plan. And here we are, nearly 5.5 years later. So right now I'm back in Jersey, visiting my mum and my sister, enjoying this beautiful island. But do you know what? My life is now very simple, but it is so rewarding. Andrew and I live a wonderful life. We still work. We work from home, but we work on our terms. And now we're in our 50s, or in my case, I'm now into my 60s. You know, life is fabulous. That second chapter doesn't have to be all about, you know, where's the money going to come from? What am I going to do next? Or I hear a lot of people saying, is this all there is? Well, no, that isn't all there is. But sometimes it's really hard to see that. And you need a plan. You need a plan to help you make it happen. And that's what we now do. We help people find out what they want to do in their second chapter. Now, that may not be as drastic as we were and moving to another country, but just little tweaks in your life can make the world of difference. But sometimes you're so close to it, or you just can't see the possibilities that are there staring you in the face. So if you want to know more, follow us on YouTube, check out the link below, and let's see if we can help you make the best of your second chapter.